Hi everybody and welcome to today's session. We're really lucky we've got some current students who are studying veterinary medicine on our call today, and they're going to share lots of sort of top tips and sort of hopefully answer some questions you might have as international offer holders considering coming to the University of Glasgow to study. So I wonder if I can ask our panel to introduce themselves, and if I start with Gigi.
Hi, I'm Gigi. I'm from Malaysia, but I study in Singapore too, so I know both of the place well. So, yeah.
Thank you, Gigi.
I'm in Sofia right now.
Great, thanks, Gigi. And Michelle?
Hi, I'm Michelle. I'm from Singapore and I'm a third year right now.
Great. And last but not least, Mohammed.
Hello, I'm Mohammed. I'm from the United Arab Emirates, specifically Dubai, and I'm in third year here at Glasgow doing veterinary medicine.
Perfect. Thanks, everybody. So the first question I sort of have, and Michelle, if we start with you, is why did you choose the University of Glasgow for veterinary medicine?
Okay, wait, who did you
Go on,
ask?
Michelle.
No,
You go.
Okay.
You go.
So actually, when I applied to my schools, I applied to a few schools, and Glasgow is actually my last option. And when I went to my interview, actually, I told them outright, and I was like, actually, this is my last option initially when I applied. But it was because when I applied, I didn't really know much about the schools, and then after my sent my requests, like I applied. I was working in a veterinary hospital at the time, and I went to ask a question to all the vets I was working with. Like, it was basically, do you regret going to vet school? And actually a lot of them said yes, I regret it, don't go to vet school, or do something else, or I wish I did things differently. But the one school, I basically, where all the vets were like, no, actually I don't regret it at all, I really encourage you to go for it, was all the people who graduate from Glasgow. And I was like, this is a bit odd. I wonder what sets them apart from their schooling from the other vets, basically. And so the more I spoke to them, the more I was like, actually I think Glasgow should be my first choice. And so when I received my offers, I got a few offers, and basically I realized I'm going to wait for Glasgow to please give me an offer. And eventually they did, and I was like, okay, perfect. It was fate. So that's why I think Glasgow went from my last choice to my first choice, and that's why I chose to study here.
Great, thank you. Such an interesting story. And what about you, Mohammed?
Well, I studied here previously for 4 years. I did a bachelor in immunology, and Glasgow was one of my options. I've had so many options, but solitarily, the reason I selected Glasgow, and the biggest reason I think is really important, is the way the course is structured, with how you go from foundation phase, your year 1 and year 2, going to your clinical phase, year 3 and year 4, before going to your professional phase, which is you're practicing as a vet with different departments and fields. And what I liked is we do the body system approach, where we cover each body system, its anatomy, pathology, diseases, imaging, and diagnostic, and pharmacology even, to the body system, even in foundation phase. And we do the same going into year 3 and 4 clinical phase, and you just expand your knowledge in the clinical phase. And that's solitarily the reason I selected this course, because I've seen a lot of clinicians graduating from Glasgow. They have a good clinical skills and approach to cases, where I was biased to coming here, because I felt even leaving foundation phase, I had so much knowledge that I felt like I'm already a vet. Like, the course is really rewarding leaving from year to the next year.
Excellent. Thanks so much, Mohammed. And I think, that structure is really important for our sort of offer holders to know, and what it might look like and how it sort of makes that big difference. So thank you. And so, Gigi, I guess what I'd like to ask you is, what is it like studying at the Glasgow Vet School?
I think Glasgow Vet School is really supportive environment. You really get a lot of support when you need. So for example, if we have to do OSCE or something, they will make sure that we have a lot of revision beforehand. And yeah, I think that's the most important thing when I'm come here, and also the people are really friendly. Like Scottish people are really friendly, so yeah, that's the most
Yeah.
important thing for me. Yeah.
No, yeah, definitely. I mean, all of you have sort of, moved across the world to come here. So I think it's, it's important feeling that sort of friendly aspect, definitely. And I guess the same for you, Mohammed. What's it like? How do you find studying in the vet school?
I love it. I love it here. I'm not saying it's all easy and not hard. Vet school is hard,
Yeah.
obviously. It's one of the hardest topics. But I love it here. I love the community. There's a very supportive community here. The lecturers are really nice. I love the way the material is delivered and there's support as much as you need. The one thing also coming back to it is like I never feel stupid for asking questions. There's always support and there's always people I can reach out to because vet school is really hard. And my one advice, even before jumping into this question, is one of the reasons I love it here and I like it is like reaching for support and getting something back. And one of the biggest thing I feel like a lot of vet students struggle with is asking for support and allowing difficulties and challenges to accumulate till it reach to the end where you cannot do anything about it. And the one thing you have always to do, if you don't understand something or you need help, just ask and get it done and get it away.
Great. Thanks, Mohammed. And Michelle, have you got anything sort of to add what you found about sort of what it's like to study in Glasgow, what it's like at the vet school?
Well, I think I really enjoy Glasgow. I think I wanted to touch on more like the structure in a bit, but I also really like one thing about Glasgow that I really enjoy is the structure is so they call it, I think like a spiral integrated like
Mhm.
curriculum is I think that's the word, but where basically like I think this is the one thing where I spoke to the Glasgow vets about where a lot of the vet courses separate, I guess, your biomed kind of content into your foundation phase. You don't really touch on clinical information and skills for a lot of the vet schools for Glasgow. They're like, what I really enjoyed was day one, week one of like your year one, you're like starting your suturing. Like it's kind of setting like a president like to tell you like, hey, like just because you're year one doesn't mean you need to forget about everything else. You will always be suturing, you will always need to have this in your head. It kind of sets like a standard of like, come back to this skill 2 weeks from now, how many months from now, a year from now, and then you'll see yourself now in third year doing how many sutures and stuff like that. Where I guess in comparison to other schools, they like we teach you one thing and then we move on in a sense. I really like that Glasgow always comes back and is like, we're gonna build off what you learned on your foundation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And I think it's really important that sort of offer holders understand sort of how different the course is from other schools and actually how that's been really helpful for students when they've arrived here. So thank you. And sort of different kind of question maybe is, Michelle, if we maybe start again with you, is maybe what's been your favourite moment so far while studying here at the vet school?
I think favorite moment. I will have to say this because it's quite a universal thing. I don't know how it is because I think they recently removed lambing as a species requirement. But I think one thing I really encourage everyone to do in their first 2 years is go for a week or two of lambing. It's so, especially if you're from like Asia, it's so different. It's really, really different. I know I'm not a farm person 100%. Like that's something I can confirm. But I think lambing was so eye-opening being on a farm, like with a few friends, seeing the miracle of life in a sense. And it kind of gives you like a sense of purpose and it's not like, oh, this is what I'm going to be doing for the rest of my life. It's just a very life-changing thing. I think whenever I speak to like seniors or juniors, they're like, yeah, lambing was really good. Like it's just really good.
Great.
So
No,
I think it's my
thank you.
favorite.
Yeah, great. What about you, Gigi? A favourite moment or experience so far?
My favorite experience is all the experience we get to do with live animals. Like I think we have a lot of like experience compared to other school. I'm not that sure, but from first year we have been like interacting with live animals whenever we can, and then it's like I get a lot of experience with farm animals and horses too, which I didn't get back home. And we have like a wipers, like a horse stable on campus, and have Galloway building which has farm animal on campus too. So I realized I've been starting to fall in love with them. So that's my favorite moment. Yeah.
Great. Thanks, Gigi. And Mohammed, what about you? Favorite experience or moment so far?
Oh, my favorite experience is being here, even though I'm all about equine medicine. That's why I'm here in Glasgow away from home. I want to become an equine vet. But doing EMS in the small animal hospital and with the neurology department is such a great opportunity with having different advanced specialist departments at your own university hospital, which was amazing. And my favorite moment was like when I'm doing the neurological clinical exam on a dog and getting the exam right and diagnosing it right and getting the tap on well done from the lecturers and who are also the clinicians. So I feel already like I'm already a clinician. So that was one of the good feelings I feel.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's great to hear about all those different things and obviously those opportunities that you can have when you come here. I know if I was sort of moving across the world, one thing I'd be really sort of have lots of questions about or worried about is maybe things like accommodation. So I don't know, maybe Mohammed, if we start with you about maybe your sort of thoughts initially about accommodation or sort of what you did, what your journey was.
Well, I feel like my advice is coming here first year. I encourage people to live with other people, to get to socialize, get to make some friends, and also meet some local students who leave home and come to study at Glasgow from the surrounding area in Scotland, because it will give you the idea of the social structure within the city. It will introduce you to what is the city easier, what's good about it, where to go, what to do, and you will make friends for life and also for the course. So it's challenging to live alone in the first year because it will isolate you in some kind of sense. I encourage coming student to go, even though the accommodation might be a bit not the fanciest five-star hotel, right? But it will give you the experience of getting to know the people who you are in the course with you in the first year and getting to know them and make a bond with them and experience stuff with them, which is always nice, and get the support from them. And these are the people you're going to spend with the next 5 years.
Yeah.
So that's my first advice is like, do not go looking for single flats or trying to live alone, and enjoy first year. Go live in a student accommodation with other students and make friends.
Great. Thanks, Mohammed. And Gigi, what about your journey with accommodation or any sort of tips you have?
Yeah, so I can't believe I'm saying this, but I would recommend people to go into Wolfson in their first year because that's where most of the vet students will stay. And that's where I meet like most of my close friends there. And the only downside it has is like it can't cook inside. But for me, like you get the social life there, you know your friends there. And yeah, and it's close to vet school within walking distance. So yeah, I would recommend people to stay there.
Great. Thanks, Gigi.
Yeah,
What about you, Ashel? Any sort of top tips or sort of what you've learned over the last couple of years with accommodation?
I'm also a Wilson advocate for the first year. I do have to say, like, yes, there are downsides to Wilson, but I think as a first year going in, stay on a student account. I think I agree everyone else. Stay on a student account just to get familiar because you're coming from from Asia, like so far away. Like I've never been to Scotland, never been to the UK, never been here. Definitely like stay in a student account, kind of get to familiarize yourself with the area, like for the first year stay. And then like obviously Wilson is where a lot of the vet students are because like I think the vet campus is quite a while away from the main campus. That is the closest. I think it's like a 15-minute walk. I think depending on how long or short your legs are, 15 minutes. It's for me like 20 because I'm short, but it's like 15 minutes walk up the hill, and it's honestly it's really good because I think I think there's the option of also staying. I think in this private student accommos, but they're mostly in West End or like the city, and then there's also the staying in like rented accommodation, which I would recommend considering that after first year. I think most people once they have like made their friends and like they've familiarized themselves with this like Glasgow, then they would basically like try and move into a rental accommodation in the second year onwards, or go there. But I do recommend Wilson or any of the other senior comms. I know there's like there's Murano, and then there's one more Saint. I don't know. I can't remember. But like more in Western area, if you're more into like the social life and like main uni and like clubs and everything like that, that's also an option.
Okay, great. And sort of with rented accommodation, Michelle, you sort of thought about an area that's good for sort of vet students to consider when they've maybe done that first year of halls?
Um, yeah, I think this is also kind of like a part what do you prioritize? If you're someone who wants like convenience, like for me, like I really prioritize like a eat like a walking distance to the vet school because I think in Glasgow, basically you have the Young Scots, where basically gives you free bus travel. I think it's very
Yeah.
important because I think a lot of international students are more a bit older. I think is it the age 20, 21, 22, 23? I can't remember.
Some can, yeah,
Like
definitely. I think
something
it's a good
around there.
point. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Under 22, yeah. So I think if you're above that age, like bus travel is not cheap. I forgot to say this. It's like £5 for like a trip and back on first bus or something like that. And I'm like, if you're doing that like every day back and forth to a school, I'm like, think about it in a sense. But that's what for me, I choose like proximity to the vet school. I took any time basically. It's just like a 10-minute walk up the hill, but like on the opposite side of where Wilson is. But I know there's also people who prefer like having like a mix of like a they want like to be living around good eateries, having more of a social life near the main uni. There's also the combination of that, which is in the West End. I think that's also a place a lot of people choose to go. But I think it's
Mhm.
really up to what you want or like what your
Absolutely.
priority is, basically.
Yeah, and I think that's something that's really important for people to know is that, you know, there are lots of different options. I know that if students go onto sort of the main website, there's sort of a whole website section dedicated to accommodation, sort of see what's available. And I think you're right, it's about that first year getting to know everything and finding what your priorities are that's really important. So the last thing I guess I have for you is maybe what are your top tips for offer holders who are considering obviously moving across the world to a new city, particularly to a city like Glasgow in Scotland? Maybe what would be your top tips? If Mohammed, we maybe start with you.
My top tip is do not stress your foundation phase. As hard as it can sound, being in vet school or being first year, enjoy the first year, make friends, do not study. It's important to study because everything is spiraling, it's going to come back. Enjoy your time in the first and second year because you're not going to get much time when you move into clinical phase and professional phase. You'll get so busy, as me and Michelle probably know that now in third year. It's really busy, but we're enjoying it. We're learning so much. And coming back, I cannot emphasize on how important this is. And I feel like because a lot of students struggle with it. Do not wait on asking questions on something that you don't understand. The material we cover is really rich. Veterinary medicine is a rich content. If you're struggling with understanding something, the lecturers are more than happy to answer the questions after the lecture. There's a forum you can post on questions for each module, each body system, and they will more than happy to clarify things. Do not let things accumulate on you. Do not make it heavier for you to catch up on later. There's always people here are happy to support you, and the clinicians are extremely nice, whatever they are, an equine or small animal or farm animal. So again, ask your questions on time and get your knowledge like properly and check on your knowledge so you don't complicate it for yourself reaching to exams or having so many questions and freaking out.
Yes. Great, thank you. Ashel, what about you? Your maybe top tip for students coming across the globe?
I think it's also this similar. It's kind of like take your first 2 years with a bit of ease. Like I think speaking to a few of my juniors, they've always been like, I think it's also for me. In your first year, you feel so stressed because you go into the environment and you're like, oh gosh, I had to start like cramming. I've got to start like studying every day. And I guess it's kind of like you forget that like you're in uni, enjoy your first 2 years because really your third, fourth year, and then you realize you're halfway through, and then next thing you know, you're gonna expire and then graduate. It's kind of insane. I would say take your first 2 years with a bit of like a chillness. But also, I also think the Glasgow course also offers you a bit of flexibility on that in the sense of um yes, there's like 15 to 20 lectures a week, but but you get to do them on your own time and then take your time on it. They're always there to help you, whatever. I guess another top tip is kind of like this is kind of more like to if you come in with other um like Asians or other people from the same country as you, you can stick with them, of course, but I think always don't be afraid to branch out and meet like other people. Like in my year,
100%.
in my year, I was the only person from Singapore. And then when I went to Wilson, actually, I was like, oh my gosh, there's no other Asian here. I'm gonna die. And then I was introduced to another Asian student in vet school, and I was like, oh my goodness, you're from Hong Kong. This is great. Like fast forward, she's now in my flat, like outside my door, listening to this.
Okay.
So yeah, turns out we were the only like two from East, like that part of Asia. And so we're like, okay, perfect. But I think speaking to my juniors who are like stuck a lot with their Asian friends, they're kind of like, I kind of wish I branched out a bit more because I feel like I'm not stepping outside my comfort zone or anything. But like my friend group is also consisting of right now, because I didn't, stick with like only Asian people. It's full of people from, every part of the world. So I think don't be afraid of that. Enjoy life.
Yeah,
Yes.
great. That's a great tip. And Gigi, anything else that you think is important for students to consider or top tips?
I totally agree with Ashal that just enjoy your life. Don't be too stressed in vet school and go out, try new things. Don't be afraid and just enjoy moving to a new city. And yeah.
Great. I think that's such a lovely note to end on. The importance of just enjoying, it's such an incredible opportunity, such an incredible experience to be able to come to a new country and, like you said, meet lots of different people and engage with different walks of life. So the first thing, thank you all very much for giving up your time, because I know how busy you are in these sort of as the years go by. So thank you very much. And to anybody watching, if you do have any follow-up questions or anything you do want to ask, please do just email the Vet Admissions email box, and we'll be more than happy to see if some of our panel might be able to answer those questions for you. So thank you so much to our panel and to our offer holders. We hope you have a good rest of your day.
Thank you.